For me, the key to a good marketing campaign really is simplicity. That's what I'm out there talking about. But so many people let so many messages enter their marketing that it becomes harder for people to understand or appreciate, any one of your messages. They walk away kind of confused because you tried to tell them too much. So I think it's always about focus. What's the one or two things you want to express, and then how do you express those things creatively and memorably so people actually have something to remember. So it's always a difficult thing I found in my life, trying to convince a client that they should really focus their message instead of saying 5 things at once. But it's a far more powerful way to go, and is to a company's benefit to have that kind of focus. The challenge for any company when it sets out to make things simpler is really looking at what you do from the point of view of a consumer, whether it's a business consumer or a general kind of public consumer. To look at everything you do through their eyes. It's a very old thing about putting yourself in the shoes of the customer, but it really is the key, and I think people like Steve Jobs were incredibly good at doing that. He saw what his company looked like as an outsider, and then he just would not compromise in making it something that people would respond positively to. And when I think a lot of companies are willing to compromise for whatever reason, for time or money issues or whatever, someone like Steve Jobs wasn't big on compromising, and that's why he was as successful as he was. So it's really about the customer experience, basically, looking at everything in terms of the customer experience and not compromising. Well, I don't think there's anything risky about making your company work in a simpler way or presenting it to the public in a simpler way. It's a really difficult thing to do. It sounds easy, but it requires an awful lot of effort, weeks, months, or whatever, lots of passionate arguing and debate to get to some place where you're comfortable. But after all that hard work, it really does pay off because people understand what you're all about. I think any company that expresses its values very clearly can create a loyal following among customers who share those values. Future trends of advertising, always a very difficult question, and I wish I knew the answer. But things change so incredibly dramatically over my time in the advertising world. It's just a completely different world than it was 10, 15 years ago. But how we get there is anyone's guess, really, because there are all these new things, wearable technology and cars, and the whole world becomes more interconnected. Well, you'll get an advertising message on your refrigerator for, I think it already happens actually. So those who figure all of that out without annoying customers, because you don't want to be all over them all the time, those people, those companies will benefit. Their messages will become simpler, present, where people care to receive the message. And how exactly that happens, I can't tell you. I wish I knew.